Hello, Sovereign Life team. We have a very special guest joining us on our mentorship call tonight. This is Bernadette McBurnie. She is, you're so many things, a coach, a Nikan consultant, a TEDx speaker, someone who empowers women and has empowered me and Elena and Savannah a lot since literally day one of our Nikan journey. And also a friend of my dad's and now a friend of ours. And we're really, really grateful to have her here in person with us and then online here on our channel.
Yeah, it's a treat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a treat.
And so tonight, there's a few things that we kind of want to invite Bernadette to speak on and to help us with, especially as we go into launching this 6-week program that we're all excited about, and to really start building our team or rebuilding our team, I guess we should say, but in a way that feels really has a really strong foundation. And there's a lot of clarity and direction, and there's a supportive structure backing us at the same time. Bernadette, I'm just gonna let you kind of like say hi and introduce yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd love to hear actually from Sam. I call you Sam, yeah. Right? Okay, from Sam and also Moya, because I don't know you. So I know Sophia, Elena, and Savannah. So how about we just do a little quick intro as well to tell me about who you are, what you do, why you started to join the team, and then we'll go from there. Sam, you want to start? You're
Sure.
Here. Okay.
Okay, so I started with Nikan last summer. So it's been over a year now with the Sovereign Life team, which has been amazing. I think for me, the biggest thing was really not only, seeing the opportunity within the business to, grow financially and, but also like what I learned when I joined was how much of a leadership role I could really learn from in this aspect. So it's been such a great journey to like really step into being a leader, which I didn't expect before. And I think that's really what made me stay here and commit to the Sovereign Life team, because I think leadership is such an important role in every aspect of life, and Nikan is such an amazing tool to get us there as well.
Yeah. Great, excellent. Moya, you want to go?
Hi, Bernadette. I'm Moya. I am a young mom. I have 2 little girls. They are 7 and 5. And what drew me to the team was the community aspect of it. I love how everyone, like from the day one, I felt like a part of the family. I didn't feel like an outsider or anything like that. I felt seen, heard, valued, loved. And I love the fact that I was able to, it was an opportunity for me to create that stay-at-home lifestyle I wanted, because obviously I have little ones. I wanted to be able to be in their lives. I don't want to miss birthdays. I don't want to miss their games. I don't want to miss anything that's going on with them. And I want to be able to be an active participant in their lives. And I know that with Nikan, that's a vehicle that I can use to get there, to get to that goal. That's what really made me join. And I stayed, again, like Sam said, for leadership, mainly for this community aspect. Like I've grown so much. I have my soul tribe now, which I'm grateful for. My kids have so many new aunties. And yeah, so I just, you come for like whatever the freedom you're chasing, whether it's financial or the time freedom, but then you stay for the community, you stay for the love, you stay for the joy. So yeah.
And Moya, do you work as well?
I do, yes. So I am still in the 9-to-5 employee, but I do work from home now, which I feel like I've manifested that. I went from working, when I first started, I started here actually almost a year, like next month will be a year. And so I started off working at the office, like inside like a 9-to-5 at the office. And now I'm still like 9-to-5, 9:30 to 5:30, but I'm at home. So I have the option to have my kids with me if need be.
Okay. So, and what kind of work do you do?
I am a real estate, so the company I work for, they are real estate assistants, like agents, and I am the assistant to the company owner. So like I'm a real estate assistant.
And Sam, do you work too?
I also work, so I'm a buyer for Holt Renfrew.
Okay. Yeah, I love Holt Renfrew. Yeah. So very familiar with. Okay, great. So listen, first of all, I want to say to all of you is I'm here for you tonight. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story. So then, even though Sophia and Elena know it, I think it's important for you, Sam and Moya, to know a little bit of me and why I'm here. And then let's just have a very open discussion, Q&A and so on, right? The goal of tonight is that you get a bit more confidence, that you get a bit more, some tips, some knowledge, whatever. So whatever question you have, just, it's open channel, all right? Okay, so, well, I discovered Nikken 22 years ago. So that's a long time. And I've been associating with Nikken since that time. The reason I looked at it was not from a business point of view. You know, I was at that time, I have 3 beautiful children and 1 boy and 2 girls. And at that time, I was not in my mind, it was not about a business or anything like this. My daughter, the second one, the middle one, was dealing, the reason why I looked at Nikken is she was dealing with a serious health, challenge, and it was all about breathing. And she was under the care of 2 doctors at that time. There was nothing really that was helping into anything that we tried. And that's when somebody from school just recommended Nikken. Anyway, the little story, just so you know, is I looked at Nikken from a product standpoint, just, is I was willing to look at anything. And I was at a point that anything that could help my daughter, I was welcoming it with open arms. That's the bottom line. The little story, though, so you want to know, is the woman who introduced me to Nikken, she had her eye on me because at that time I was the president of the Parents Association at our school, and she saw me making things happen, and she said, I want that girl on her team. That's really why she talked to me about it. But she came to me not from a business point of view, but from the health, because she heard we were dealing with that. So anyway, long story short, went to an in-home, listened to what was going on. I'm sure that all of you have been exposed to that. And my reaction was, I can't believe all what I'm hearing. It's not possible, right? All the benefit. But at the same time, I just, first of all, I followed my intuition. I said, it feels real as much as it didn't sound real, if that makes sense, right? So anyway, talked to the person who was doing the presentation, and I asked her, is there anything that can help my daughter? And the answer was, I don't know. I don't know what your daughter has. But what I can tell you is, at this time, we've been helping a lot of people with similar challenges. The only way to find out is just to get started and try. Okay, so long story short, I started on the product, and 22 years later, I'm here. I'm still here, right? Why? Because I just fell in love with what the products could do for people. I could see the opportunity to make a difference in people's life in a big way, all around. That and my entry point was the product. What I can tell you is I discovered very quickly, and I can share so many stories with that Nikken was not just about the product. It was so much more than that. And I know you all know that. That's why you're here, right? So in a nutshell, really quick story, this is why I'm here today. In the 22 years that I've been around Nikken, I built it to a diamond shape. I have helped lots of people. It's all about helping people build a better life for themselves. And I know you know that. But there's so many facets and layers of how we do it and how we can help people. Okay? So that sets the tone. So what do you believe do you need to hear for tonight? And Sophia, Elena, Savannah, just step in. Sam, you want to ask questions? Moya is the same. Okay. The one thing I will tell you, I would add on to that, what I just said, is as much as I came into the product side, at that time, Moya, my children were, they were 4, 5.5, and 7. Right? So as you can imagine, your mom, so busy household with a husband who was traveling 3 weeks at a time every single month, every month of the year.
Oh, wow.
Right? And my whole support system was, I started in Toronto. That's where I started the business. And my whole family is in Europe. So I literally was operating on my own all the time. So as I came into Nikken, that was it. And then it also was the time when I started to think about going back to work. for a few reasons. Once, as much as I loved being a stay-at-home mom, because I stopped my career to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm all about family, okay? So that was a major decision that I took when I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. And one of the best decisions ever in my life, frankly. But that was a big, because it was not just about, and I let go of a very successful international career, just so you know, because that may, part of your role as Nikken consultant and business owners is to collect stories, right? It's to collect stories so you can relate, because it may not relate to you, but it will relate to people you're going to meet that you don't know. And that's fun. So collect my story, right? My background, so I was in corporate IT. I was from a software engineer, developer to corporate executive in corporate for large corporation in cosmetic and banking, working in Europe, working in Asia, because with my husband, we moved from France to Hong Kong to Japan to Canada and to the States. So I have a very broad experience. Decided to be a stay-at-home mom for 8.5 years. So that's a long break from work, right? And when Nikken came into my life and really helped my daughter, I was at the stage, I was starting to think about what am I going to do going back to work? And what I was thinking career at that time. So I was in that mindset, not really, but I was in. And then I'll tell you what made me realize that Nikken was the right thing. But so that's something that you want to know is you're not, Moya, you're your mother, so you understand. And I'm sure you're in contact with a lot of other mothers and other working moms, right? But all of you who may or are not yet there, women like this. And I can tell you that the women of wherever they are, we seek the same thing. We seek the same thing. Different countries, we express it differently, but we want it all, right? We want it all, but it's a matter of how do I get there and how do I prioritize that? So that's something that I wanted to share with you, okay? Because this is important, is understanding what other, I don't know if your focus is just women, I don't know, maybe not, but understanding what the needs are out there, okay? So how about I open up, because I don't want to be the only one talking. How about I open up to any question and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's great.
You said that you started as a customer, for your daughter. When did you make that switch into the consultant, into the business aspect?
Very quickly. Very quickly, because first of all, in terms, and let me just share with you how the first month went, because I think it's important for you, because that also can be quite I'm sure you're going to face, if you haven't yet faced people like this. So I came in with, I discovered Nikken, and hold on a second. I discovered my computer is doing something strange. Okay, I discovered Nikken, and just so you know, my husband was extremely skeptical, to say the least. He did not believe of anything like this. So I'm sure you're meeting people like this, right? And my husband says, I don't believe in that and so on. And I challenged my husband and I said, the doctors are not helping Lauren, being our daughter. Nothing is just giving us hope. Let me do what I believe, right? So I challenged that. And he said, okay, right, whatever. And I always say, don't come between a mom and her child, because you're going to lose that battle anyway. So, that's part of it, right? So that's wanted to say, first of all, is really to stay strong with what we feel and what we believe, okay? That's important. And here I'm talking about product, but it's the same with business, because then when I saw what happened, how quickly it happened for my daughter, literally how she was getting better. And that happens within, I would say, a couple of weeks. Then I realized, oh my gosh, there is something really special there. And then I said to my husband, I wanted to really not just be a customer. I wanted to really promote it. I didn't think really business. I just wanted to just put it out there to the world, right? Now, I don't know if you know that, but my husband was extremely negative about network marketing. And when I say negative, I mean, you probably will not find somebody, because we come from corporate anyway. And he said, I really don't want you to do that and so on. But he recognizes, but I know you, when you believe in something, nothing is going to stop you. So he said to me, so I'm not even going to try to stop you, because that's already a lost battle. So he knew that, but because he not only this me, but he also recognized that because I express it so strongly, whatever he would say, he knew that. So whenever you face negative people, that's part of what it is. We've got to put our stake in the ground, and just so then they can feel how much we believe in what we've got. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, so that's the start. And then he said to me, okay, and by the way, refer something that I said yesterday at dinner, you understand, is he said to me, okay, do what you want, and so on. He didn't stop me, and I invested in the product and so on. But here's one thing he asked me to do. Do what you want, but I'm asking you not to talk to anybody we know.
Oh my goodness.
And I made that promise. So when yesterday I said because I had somebody on my team way later who said, Bernadette, if you can show me how to build a business without talking to any people I know. And I answered, you want me to show you? I'll show you, because I've done it myself. I said, as long as you're prepared to do the work, right?
Yeah.
So it's possible. So just so you know, I had some challenges, right? And the things that you may not see of me right now, I'm a deep introvert. I'm a very private person. So for me to put myself out there was more than challenging. It was like going against my own personality.
Yeah.
Right? I'm still very deep introvert and private person. That hasn't changed.
What is it that made you willing to do that?
Because it wasn't about me. It
Your why was
wasn't about
clear.
me. It wasn't, I just knew in my gut and in my heart how important this was. I just knew it. I felt it. I didn't think it. I felt it. That's the difference. A lot of time a lot of time we think. And by the way, I'm sure that you'll agree with me. Women, we tend to overthink. Is that true, everyone? Right? Because in my work, I work with a lot of women, and I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but we overthink. And we keep overthinking, and that is actually going against us. And I can tell you that one day when I was building Nikan, and one afternoon, my husband came back. Then we moved to San Francisco, and he came back and he saw me. I had red eyes because I had been crying so hard. And I was sobbing, and he thought something terrible had happened family-wise. And he said, what's happening? And my answer, I was just blurbing. I couldn't even express it. And I said, I could not pick up the phone today to call anybody. And he looked at me and said, and that's what you're crying? The reason why it was so painful for me is because I knew if I don't reach and talk to people, I could never build a business. I could never do this. I could never do what I believe was right. I saw what was given to me, and I really saw that as a gift. It was, and it became into something I just couldn't keep. I couldn't keep for myself. I had to put it out there. But I had to go against my fear of talking to people, my fear of contacting people I don't know, right? Putting myself out, and that was, I'm somebody, I'm very happy alone and on my own. And, I just don't, leave me alone. I'm good, right? So I really had to go against that. And I realized unless I found a way, I couldn't do it. But again, it was that, and that's a great question, Sophia. What made me feel that way? What made me do that? It's because I trusted what I felt deep inside, and I didn't think. I just knew in my heart, in my gut. Makes sense?
Bernadette, how did you make calls?
Say that. So like,
You didn't talk to anyone that you knew.
Oh my gosh, if you know what I had to do to put myself out there, it's, and by the way, when I said I promised my husband I would not talk, I literally did not talk to anybody we knew,
wow.
whether it was parents at school, no one.
Jesus.
Imagine right now, all of you, would you do it? Would you build a business without talking to anybody you know?
Well, I think what's interesting is a lot of people are afraid of talking to people they know. That's why I'm curious about how you did it.
No, I agree. I understand, right? But how many, think about yourself right now. Would you, if I was telling you, Elena, Sophia, Sam, each of you, Moya and Savannah, would you start a business knowing that you have to talk to hundreds of people over time without talking to anybody you know?
Yes,
I mean,
I would.
I don't think I would be successful at it because I would feel like I'm hiding something.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
itself is like the avoidance, that's resistance to me. And I think that's part of the reason why the people who come into this and are like, I don't want to talk to a single person I know, don't succeed in this experience because they feel like they're hiding something.
But
They
the
feel like
proof-
there's shame behind that.
I hear what you're saying, but the proof here, you have the proof that
You
they can
can.
succeed.
You can, but
succeed.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I know it wouldn't feel good for me taking that path. Like you said, you were able to succeed because you knew this was bigger than you. Your gut was telling you that. If I were to take that way, my gut would be like, no way in hell.
Right. But here's one thing. The lesson here, the learning here is that anybody can succeed, whether they know
Yeah.
people, whether they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really important. So if somebody says, I don't know anybody, first of all, I would say, that's not true. I can tell you how,
Yeah.
what you can do as exercise. But even if you don't know anybody, you just need to meet people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nowadays, there's lots of ways.
More than possible. Like, you could literally
meet
start up
people
an
everywhere.
Instagram account and just start talking about your story out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So Savannah, repeat your question, please.
Oh, I just asked you, how did you do it without talking to anybody that you knew?
How did you make the
Well,
calls?
how did I meet new people, first of all, right? How did I create a list?
Yeah.
What's interesting also, just so you know, is I started in Canada, became a silver in Canada very quickly. At that time, we had to do it 1 month and we had to do a lot of volume. I know right now I can't remember, it's like 4,000, 6,000. At that time, we had to do 20,000 points in 30 days.
Oh wow.
But we would do it if we knew that's what we had to do.
20,000 points in 30 days. If you miss it even by 1 point, you start from zero the following month,
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy.
right?
Wow. How did you guys do that?
We just, because that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
I almost, yeah.
That's the thing. If that's these are the cons, then these are the cons you play,
Yeah.
right? It's all here,
Anna's head is turning. She's like,
I'm like,
right? It's all here. It's okay. That's, it's like I don't know if you play any sport or if you watch any sport, but to become an Olympic champion or to go to the Olympics, you've got to train and you've got to do that. You don't know if you're going to win, but if you want to go to the Olympics, you've got to train and do certain things. And how did you do it? You just do it because you want to do it, right? You find the power inside you to do it. You find the drive. You see yourself doing it. You see yourself there. So that's like anything. I'm sure all of you've done something that you didn't think you could do, but you did it. Why? Because you found it inside you. There was something inside you that said, yes, of course, I want it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I wrong?
right.
I'm sure you can all say yes, right? Okay. So, and so the other thing I want to say, so I built a silver, I won silver in 30 days. 3 months later, I developed my frontline silver. And then 4 months later, I moved to San Francisco. So I moved in a place. So that's why here right now, I want you the reason I'm sharing that to all of you is our success does not depend on anyone else but ourselves. I was a single silver. I had a silver frontline. So I had a teeny team, as you can imagine, right? You know that. Moved to San Francisco where I definitely didn't know anybody at all. And I started with no support, no applying whatsoever. Now, when I moved to San Francisco, we didn't do Zoom, we didn't do Skype, we didn't have any of that. Everything was by phone, and we had to
Yeah.
pay a fortune to do an international call. So we didn't do any of that. So we were on our own, right? So again, when people say, I can do this, I'm going to say, I know you can do it, because I can, through my experience, I can share things that there was no other choice. I wanted it. I had to find a way to make it.
So in Toronto, when you started that 20,000 point volume, how did you like?
So what I did is that it was, I started to say, okay, how can I meet new people? So I don't go and network with a lot of people or go to group. That's not my thing. And I say, how do you heard about Craigslist? I'm sure, right? At that time, Craigslist. There's things that I did. I put things on Craigslist, and some posts that I put on Craigslist, and I was just promoting this and that. I said, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know who's going to see it, and so on. And that's how I made contact with people I never knew.
Wow.
I
built that list like that. So it's things like that way.
when you were actually sharing this, because messaging was something that came up for us yesterday, and I do think that's something that we would all benefit from getting more clarity around. Were you sharing or inviting people into information about the business or the products? Like when you were on Craigslist, or you were posting in like Yellow Pages or whatever it was, because that's what was available to you at the time. How were you like positioning that?
Well, it was, I tried and I tried few things, Elena. I didn't have a formula. I'll be honest with you. I didn't have a formula, and I just tried few things. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, I wasn't expecting, and because I knew that, I just was trying. So there's few things but what I realized is one thing that I did right from the start when I launched my business is I understood something, which is this. I said, I want to do something I've never done before. I hate sales. So I don't know if any of you feel that way. I hate sales. I always run away from anything that was related to sales, right? Because the way people approach me before for other things, I was just cringe. It made me cringe every single time, right? I hate sales. I'm a deep introvert, and I want to build a business. I don't know how to. I don't know anything, and I've never been an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I only work for people, for companies. So do I know anything? No. I recognize that. So what I did is I understood I wanted to learn from the best. I said, I'm going to learn I'm going to be a sponge. And I wanted to learn from everybody. But everybody who I wanted to emulate the success. So I didn't look at everybody around me. I only looked at the people who already were where I wanted to be. Make sense? Because they're the right example. I'm not going to ask another silver. I'm not going to ask. I just say, no, I want to build a diamond chip or whatever, or more than that. For me, it was more the income, more than the title, frankly, right? Then I'm going to ask, and who are the people who are making the income that I want to build?
So
Right?
I have another question.
So hang on, let me figure.
Sorry.
Hold on to your question. No, that's because I'm sure you have, right? I can see the wheel turning. So hold on to the question. So what I did is I surrendered myself to the teaching. It wasn't about the people, it was about the message. I'm going to learn what worked. That's really, to me, what was important. I'm going to learn what works, right? Why would I reinvent the wheel knowing that I don't know anything anyway? I'm not going to create something that I don't know, right? So I'm going to apply what I know is working because I have living proof in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, there's some people I resonated with, other people I didn't. That's okay. I wasn't going to let the person stop me from learning from them. So I was more, for me, it was more focusing on the message, meaning what they were teaching, than how they taught. Because what I've learned is the principle of success were exactly the same. No matter who I was talking to, it was exactly the same principle. So obviously it worked, right? And then I realized it doesn't mean that I have to do it with it to copy how they do it. You know, I am me, and I'm not going to change that. But I promised myself and I committed myself, I would apply the principle, the success principle that they were teaching. Make sense?
Yeah.
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 Right? And that's the key. And not only that, and I said, and I'm going to be the best student that I can.
Right. My follow-up question to that was the transition from like being a student who's absorbing everything like a sponge to applying what you're learning, because that's where you actually had to address the fear of
Absolutely.
putting yourself out there. And I think that's where I'm going to speak generally for our team here. It's not the learning that's the issue, it's the application.
But okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to say the learning comes through application.
Yes. Okay. So I think that's what I mean, because, you know, I've done this even for myself. There's a lot of things I've been told to do and I haven't done it.
Mhm.
Right. And I know it's because of the resistance that comes up or the fear, whatever it is. So I think you give a very unique perspective for us, because we hear from my uncle, but everyone knows how my uncle is. Man, he has no issues expressing himself however he feels called to, regardless of what room he is. And I feel like I can resonate a little bit more with your perspective, knowing that you really had to go through the transition of being somebody who was not comfortable with putting themselves out there to then becoming that person in your way, in your unique way, right? And I think that's something that we would all gain value from, because that's the hurdle that we're overcoming, really.
Right. You know, I really know for whatever we want to do, there will always be fears. And that's just part of life, right? Because, and frankly, I've learned, took me a long time. It didn't happen just like this, but I've learned to use fear as power instead of letting fear stop me. So it's a mental attitude. You know, I really believe it's a mental game that we play with ourselves. And the question is, what is the mental game that you play? You know, very often, I'm sure you've heard the word self-talk. You know, how do you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
And I always say, which channel are you listening to when you talk to yourself? The channel that's empowering you or the channel that's disempowering you? Fear is about disempower, unless you see that fear as a motivator. And for me, I've learned, took time, but I've learned to use fear as a motivator. And sometimes the fear, you know, sometimes it's about learning to replace a fear by another fear. And what I mean by that, it could be, for example, if I had let the fear of speaking stop me, because I could have, I would never have done what I had accomplished. I would not be where I am today and accomplishing all the things that I'm doing in my life, in my work. Never. But I realized that. So what is the worst fear in a way? The fear of speaking, or the fear of not creating what I want? Well, that was, it was, I said, okay, there is no way I'm going to let the fear of not speaking allow me to create what I want. So it's about learning that, right? The fear, you know, so the fear of speaking as, you know, in a day-to-day, when I started to create that list, I just, for example, when I went to, you know, is, for example, I know you were talking with the women's circle that you're doing, which is, I think, is just wonderful. So I started to join my group. It wasn't called Women's Circle, and it was just women, but a networking group, if you want, right?
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, you know, I knew where it was going to be, at what time and all that, but up to the moment I left, I found every possible reason in my head for not going. And finally I said, stop this, just go, right? And I went. And my goal then was not to try to talk to everybody. Every time I gave myself a goal, and I said, and you're not going to leave and go back home until you've done that. So I taught myself to give small goals. And when I was going to meet a group like this, I say, meet 3 people, 3, but make good connection.
Mhm.
Don't just meet people and say hi and all that. Make connection, establish some kind of relationship with them, so then they remember you and all of that. That's what I gave myself those little steps.
Mhm.
So then I said, okay, you've done 3. Okay, next time you can do 3 and then 4. So that's how I build it up,
Mm.
right? So that it's always the first time, as I'm sure we all know, is always the hardest. The second time, it's like, it's like anything. We don't become good at something the first time. It never happens. We've got to do it again and do it. And afterwards say, why did I make it such a big deal? Right? We realize
Yeah.
actually it's not that bad. And then I started to say, instead of, and the other thing is when I went and met people, whether it was online or in person, I said, remember, the only objective there is to create the start of a relationship.
Mhm.
So I wasn't thinking about business. I wasn't thinking about selling Nikan. I wasn't thinking about that. My goal was to find a person I would enjoy, possibly work with. Because frankly, if I don't enjoy working with, why would I bring them in my team?
Mhm.
I want to have fun when I do business as well. I don't want to work with people for the sake of working with them. So that's part of that, right?
How did you, like, when you were making those connections, how did you then follow up to form those connections, or even just create the invitation for someone that you just first met? Like, was that an ongoing process, or like, how did you turn that connection into an invitation into the business?
The thing is, first of all, is when I met some people, and to this day I follow exactly the same process for anything, is first that we meet, we have a connection. I always follow up with them. If it's, for example, meeting a new group, I would go and say, hopefully I said something, and I knew, that really just connected with them, and we agreed to say, this is great. Before I left, I would say, how about we meet for a coffee, or we do a conversation, or all of that. So before I left, I always said to myself, before I leave, I'm going to have set up with them a time when I'm going to talk to them.
Mhm.
I wasn't going to leave it to chance and say, I'll call you in a couple of days. That's not good. I always say, how about we set up now a time? I say, I know we're both busy, but how about we set up now a time when we're going to talk? And I always gave a 2-day window, the following 48 hours, because I know that the best one is always to do it within 48 hours.
Like you would have mentioned already?
Already before, for example, Elena, I meet you at a networking group, whatever, right? We connect and say, great. I mean, this is really enjoy talking to you and so on. And say, how about we continue our conversation? We'd love to know more about what you do and what I do and all of that. And you said, yeah, that would love that. How about we decide that now? You and I are busy.
Okay.
How about we decide that? So we would pull out, our calendar, whatever, now it's our phone and say, and we agree a time right there and then, because the excitement is there, right? And she knows me, she remembers me. So we put it in the calendar instead of saying, I'll call you in 2 days, because in 2 days, who knows what's going to happen? She's going to have forgotten. And so, well, we put it on the calendar right there and there. And then we meet. And nowadays I do that on Zoom, I do that whatever, right? But that's the key thing, is always to take immediate action. Don't delay what can be done today. That's the key thing, right? And afterwards, it's really about learning. And honestly, sometimes I met people, and as I was listening to them, I heard something that didn't fit, that didn't sound right. I didn't even bring up then, Nika. I said, no, got the wrong feel. I'm not talking to them.
Yeah.
Right? And others, there was that attitude and say, I love what you're talking. I enjoy meeting you and finding more about you. And the key thing when I meet people is, for me, is to speak a maximum of 30% of the time. My goal is to ask as many questions as possible, always. Because the more I know of them, the more I can show them how Nikan could be an opportunity for them. An opportunity for better health, an opportunity for more money, an opportunity for better lifestyle, whatever that is. But I really ask specific questions, so then, question that would be fun.
Bernadette, were these people coming to you or were you going up to them and introducing them again?
It depends. You know, when I was talking about Craigslist, I remember specifically one event that were organized by something like an in-home, but it was not an in-home, it was in public place, right? And actually it's not too far from here. And so it was like a preview, you know, a mini weekend event, if you want. And I, that day, there was a couple of really just special speakers, and I was determined to have guests. Right? I was determined to have at least 6 guests. And I was thinking, how am I going to find those 6 guests? So I was on a mission on Craigslist. So I put a lot of things like this and contacted, you don't know how many contacts I made through Craigslist. And even then, I know that there's a law of statistics in a way. If for me to have 6 showing up, I had to have anywhere from 12 to 18 people telling me they would come.
Mhm.
What was your listing? Like what was the wording when you were inviting people?
I just said, you know, it depended on, it could be, you know, I'm inviting, we have an event that is all about, at that time, creating a better life, you know, improving your life, better lifestyle. It depends of what the theme, because we had events that had different themes, Savannah. So, but really for me, it was more of, you know, if you're looking for something, it could be something like this, you know, if you're looking for some solutions to improve your health. So I did like 2, one which was more product maybe, and one more opportunity, and I put the 2 out there. So as a result of that evening, I had literally people who came, I didn't know their face, I didn't talk to them, and they showed up at the registration. And at the registration, they were asking, okay, who invited you? And it was Bernadette and Bernadette. And people said, Bernadette, where are those people coming from? I said, Craigslist. And people said, how did you do that? I said, I did what most people would not want to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because most people say, I don't want to do that. I say, I know, but that's why.
Yeah.
I found people who became frontline and silvers and gold like that.
Wow.
So, you know, and it's when there's the desire, when there's the will, we find a way.
Mhm.
That's the bottom line.
So there's just a few points that I want to reiterate here, just to have them be a little summarized. So first, there is no like one way of putting your messaging out there. It's just like try all the different angles, because I feel like there's like a million different ways you can invite someone into Weekend. You could say like build a business. You could say like come have more like flexibility with your work schedule. You could say, you know, start your wellness home. You could say promote health and wellness and create an income while doing it. There's like literally so many different messages that would resonate with so many different people. So is there like one specific, should we do like one specific thing to call in like one specific type of person, or is it just like try all the different things and see what happens?
That's a good question, Sophia.
Yeah.
What I really believe is you need to find the message that resonates with you individually.
Mm-hmm.
Because your message, Sophia, may be different from Elena, may be different from Samantha, may be different from Moya, may be different from Savannah and everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? So, because if it doesn't resonate, if it's not words that you would say, it's the wrong message. Because people will hear it, people will feel it. Right? So it has to be a message that you know is right for you.
Yeah.
But it also needs to be a message that reflects what you want to offer people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I want to share with you, you know, one of the things that happened with one, she was second level from me. She actually came into Niken through the product, and the person who introduced her to Niken, I mean, they were cousins. Actually, they were cousins. The difference is, well, Donna was doing really well. She was a stay-at-home mom at that time. Martha was working, however, in very limited way because she had a severe illness and she couldn't hold a regular job. But her passion was to take care of children with disability. That's what she done. But because she herself was disabled, I mean, she had a lot of limitation. But she came through Niken simply because her cousin introduced her to the product, because she said, I really believe that could do great things for her. So the bottom line is Martha had phenomenal experience through the product and realizes, oh my gosh, this definitely could help me. But she said, maybe it could even help the children I work with, right? So she immediately thought that. So the reason I'm sharing that is because of her disability, it was a catch-22 for her. Because if she was earning any kind of income, she would lose, I don't remember what it was called at that time, but her disability pension or something like this. So she already was living on a shoestring. But if she was earning any other income somewhere else, she would lose that. What kind of choice is that? Not a good choice, isn't it? Right? And I remember one day she calls me and she's in tears and saying, Bernadette, I just feel that this could make such a difference in my life and in others. But if I earn any money, I'm going to lose my disability pension. I mean, I don't know how that was called, not knowing how much I could earn.
Totally.
Right? I'm listening to that and I said, okay, Martha, and she didn't really know. I said, Martha, okay, maybe I can help you. Can you tell me numbers? Because right now I don't even know what we're talking about in terms of money, right? I say, are you open enough that you can share with me how much money you get through that pension and so on? And we went through numbers. I said, okay, so this is what you're getting. And I said to her, I don't know whether or not you're going to earn that money. But what I can tell you is to replace that money. This is what you will need to do. And if you were doing more, this is what you could do. So I talked to her number, which was quite a challenge for her because she's not at all a money person and money motivated. But I said, Martha, this is very real. We need to talk about this. Talk to her. And at the end of the call, I said, okay, Bernadette, thank you. We can hang up and so on. And then 2 weeks later, she calls me and says, okay, Bernadette, I'm going to do it. I said, doing what? What are we talking about here? I say, I'm going to build a business here because I'm going to earn an income. And she earned. And I will tell you that over a period for her, because it was a long road for her, because mentally she didn't have a lot of confidence, for a number of reasons. But over a period of 9 months, she earned enough that would replace her disability pension, but she started to earn more. To the point, and not only that, but she physically functioned better because she was using the products. So you imagine, right, the transformation. And by the end, and to the point that she was able to work like not full-time, but almost full-time, doing the job that she loved, working with the disabled children, earn more money and all that. So I just cannot tell you. So that's the transformation. And that's when I realized Niken is not the product. The product is just one of the products. It's really the way, one way, not the way, one way people can just elevate, if you want, and uplift their life.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that sometimes we have to be careful of in the messaging, is what exactly are we saying to people? Because sometimes we say, it's the way that you're going to do it. No, it's not the way. It's one way. There's many ways we can create what we
Like
want.
we don't want to make other people wrong for not choosing this path.
No, exactly.
And I think that's what I don't know if we necessarily did that, but I've noticed that, especially with a lot of like what's available on social media today. It's like a lot of people that are like trying to convince you that my way is the better way. And it's like, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to empower you. At least I believe we're here to empower you to discover your own way. And here's one option that can support you in that. And like when I first got started with the business and people used to ask me about it, like this was before, I remember the conversation I had with Nat Levy. Like he kept asking me what we do. And I was like, we offer people an opportunity to improve the quality of their life, either by way of physical products and well-being or by finances. Like that, those were the two things that I was really saying at the time, because that's what I thought was available. I was like, here's an opportunity to elevate your life. Here's the two ways in which you can do that. Physically, we can improve your well-being because we have incredible technology. Financially, here's an economic solution. So
that's why your message has to resonate with you, right?
Yeah.
And the words are your words.
yeah,
Don't try to copy each other's word. Don't try. One message for
Yeah.
all of you is not going to work.
yeah,
I think
It
that's
won't.
like a
It
good
will never
exercise.
work.
yeah.
Okay.
We could sit down and
But
actually
and
like,
not only
talk about that with
and
each
and
other.
not only that, your audience is different. Who you're going to talk to may be different kinds of group of people.
Yeah.
So if Moya's group is different from Elena's
Yeah.
group or Savannah's group, you can't have Moya's message said by Savannah and so on. That's not going to work,
Mhm.
Yeah,
right? So but that comes from building confidence. It's about, no. First of all, is know inside you, why are you here?
yeah,
Why are you here? Because if you don't know deep down why you're here, you're going to have a hard time expressing that, right? It is
Yeah.
myself when I started Nick, and you've heard a bit of my story, but it started through the product, but quickly, particularly through Martha, I realized, oh my gosh, what is it that's been given to me? It's not just about me anymore now. What I discovered is can be available to everyone. And my say is I'm going to give it to as many people as I can, but I'm going to let them know that if they don't want it, that's okay.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not only that, I'm going to and when people ask me, Bernadette, do you think I can succeed? My answer was, I don't know. I don't know you that well. Even if you're my friend, I don't know if you're going to do what this business is going to be necessary to do. I don't know if you're going to put the time, the effort, if you're going to have the stamina, are you going to stop the first time somebody says no to you? Or I don't know. Are you going to allow yourself to learn from others or not? What I've learned is to leverage. I mentioned before I started in Canada and then I moved, like very shortly after I moved to San Francisco. I had a small team. And as small as it was still a team. But I moved to San Francisco. And when we moved to San Francisco with my husband, I knew I needed to take at least 3 months total break from Nikan because I needed to reconnect with my husband, because for 15 months, we barely saw each other. I knew I needed to allow my husband to connect with his children. I had to sell all kids, new schools, daycare, find the bearing, move into a new, all of it, right?
Yeah.
And I knew I needed the time. But I had a team. I was responsible for that little team, as small as it was. And at that time, again, we didn't connect the way we connect today. Today it's so much easier.
Yeah.
We had none of that. So what I did before I left is, because right from the beginning, I said, I leverage my upline at maximum. Everybody of my upline, right? And I literally told my little team, I said, okay, you know how it's been for me for the last 15 months. I need that 3 months, because if I don't do this, I'm not going to be good when I come back. I know that. But that doesn't mean that you're left alone. And I put in place a support system. I worked with my upline, my direct upline, and the other level. And we literally worked together. I leverage every single person from my upline. So they never felt left alone. They never felt that, oh my gosh, Bernadette is not there anymore. What do we do? Right? They always had somebody to, and that's why it worked. And when it was time, 3 months later, I said, okay, now I'm back. And it was just a smooth transition. The team had grown while I was gone, because I was gone.
Yeah.
Literally, I said, do not expect any contact from me, because I know where my priorities are, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't leave the team, and the team literally grew while I was gone. Okay. And that's the key thing, is leveraging the talents. I learned to leverage that upline for that upline for that, and that upline for that. And that's really what it is. There's so much talent that's there. And it's learning how do they complement. I've learned how they complement who I was, what I could do, and all of that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Moya, any question? I see you taking lots of notes. Any question?
I'm honestly just absorbing everything that you're saying. A lot of my questions you're answering as you're going. So currently, no, I think I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. How does it feel? What I mean, what kind of reaction?
Honestly, it gives me more confidence and more like things like I can do this. Because for me, like when you mentioned earlier about talking to people you don't know, like who would do it, like I would, because I've talked to people who I know and like close to me, like family and friends, that they don't believe in it. And so I met with a lot of resistance. I met with people who mock the products and who mock, whenever I say anything, it's like they're trying to shut it down. So it's like I would jump at the chance to like talk to people who don't know me, who don't have like a connection with me, who don't have a biased view of me, right? Also, for me, it does feel like I'm trying to sell to them. You know, like I know that's not where I'm coming from. It does feel like I'm trying to sell. So I like the idea that you literally started this whole business, like your entire company, off of people you didn't know, like, and you just made it work for you. You know, so that gives me a lot more confidence. And as a mom juggling 3 kids, I feel like my head is spinning with 2. So like that was even like wow moment for me. Yeah. So yeah, I'm literally taking all these notes. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like I'm feeling a lot more like, yeah, I have to leverage my team like I have and lean on them whenever I need to. Yeah, it's great. It was actually really great to meet you and to see like myself in you. So yeah.
Listen, I really advise to each and every one of you, leverage your upline. The more you leverage them, the more successful. I remember all the role elements and a number of times said, Bernadette, one of your greatest strengths is that you're not afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
And that is the absolute truth. Because first of all, myself, I said, well, why would I struggle on my own if I can ask for help and somebody has the answer? Why would I waste that time and that energy? I'm going to ask because I'd rather do, I want to accelerate what I can, even though I'm going to make mistakes. I recognize that. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to learn. But I want to speed up my learning curve, right? I want to do everything I can. So I did that. But the other thing also is I wanted also to become the best example for my team. Because if I give the impression that I have to know it all, to do it all on my own, what exactly am I teaching my team? That they need to know it all, to do it all on their own? Who's going to do that? That's very discouraging because I say, I've got to learn all of this.
Yeah.
I've got to do this all on my own. I mean, this is overwhelming, right? So it's about saying, you don't need to know it all. On the contrary, the more you can show that it's a team effort, the easier it will be for your team to grow. Makes sense to everybody? Right? So that's really very powerful lesson. And I know that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And every single time I have to tell you, I've seen people time and time in my whole time with Nikan to this day, people who try to do it on their own, their ego gets into place or they think they know and so on. And every time I say, oh, that's going to be painful for them. Every single time, no matter which level. Because every time we're going to grow, you're going to grow into Nikan, you're going to have to learn new things. Like in any other job, in any new business, right? Every time. Because think of it, is your skills of what you've learned have brought you to where you are today. But for you to go to the next level of whatever you want to accomplish, you need to learn some new things, which is really exciting because that's what makes it very dynamic. It's very exciting. That's how we grow, right? So really give yourself that grace of, okay, it's okay if I don't do it all on my own. It's okay if we leverage the upline as much as possible. Savannah, what comes to your mind? What comes to mind?
I'm just taking a lot listening, but I have a lot kind of going through my mind that I honestly don't really feel comfortable sharing with everybody. I
Okay.
feel like I'd like to talk to you more individually about it.
We can do that.
But
Sam.
you've definitely brought a lot of like thoughts to my mind and made me like see things a little bit differently than I have been. So yeah, I'd like to talk to you more about it.
Sam, what about you?
I'm feeling like so tingly. I feel like this has been so powerful. No, Bernadette, like it's been good. No, because I feel like
I'm like feeling the tingles, girl.
yeah,
Yes,
like
good.
because I think like the most powerful thing you said is like it really is so deeply rooted in your why and like your what you believe, and like you have to believe it so wholeheartedly in order to teach other people about it, to make yourself get out of bed every morning and do it, like taking that messy action. And I think for me, like I find resistance, and not just in weekend, like in so many aspects of my life, even things where I'm like, this is exactly what I need to be doing. I find so much resistance where I'm like, I need to be more clear on my why in so many aspects of my life so that I can like just live with more purpose. And I think it's gonna it translates so much clearer once you do have that solidified. And I think like that's a really good exercise that I need to practice more, is like really figuring out, what, because I find that all of your stories and even Mike's stories, they're such incredible stories, right? Like your person who has grown physically and financially and took on that risk, and she saw the benefit. But like for me, I'm like, I don't have that amazing story, and this is something that's come up for me a lot, and I'm like, it does,
And you don't
I think we
need.
all feel
And
that
here's
way
the
to
thing.
some degree.
Here's the thing. If that's something that's blocking you,
yeah,
just get that out of your head.
yeah,
You don't need to have that amazing story.
yeah,
You just need to know, and that there are amazing stories out there. And you want to leverage. That's why I say one of the best things that you want to do is collect stories.
Yeah.
And says, you've got to, like I just did. I talked about Martha. I could tell you thousands of stories. I mean, we could be there for like weeks just, and I would tell you stories like that. But I would tell you another story that is not product related. One single mom, 2 kids, and all she wanted to do was earn an extra $500 a month. Literally, she up to when she was introduced to Nikan, she was just said, no, it's not for me, whatever. Life was fairly good at that time. She was married, she had a job, life seemed comfortable. And then suddenly her life it's like everything went away. Went through a divorce, lost her job, became a single mom with 2 kids. All she wanted to do was to earn an extra $500 a month. Why? To put food on the table. Very real, very relevant. And today, we have a lot of that everywhere, right? Don't talk to her about purpose. What do you mean, purpose? I don't care about purpose. I want $500 to put food on the table. So if anybody had tried to talk to her about her purpose or getting clarity, and say, go away. I'm struggling. I'm dealing with reality here. Don't ask me to even care about other people because I need to take care of my kids. Then once so she built it, and she just started just to, sell the product, recruit one person here, so she built it slowly, but and because she also lost a lot of confidence, as you can imagine, right? Having lost a job, going through a divorce, I mean, her confidence went through the window. But she did that, and she did that because she felt that this could help. Didn't know how, no big expectation, right? And over a period of 6 months, she started to earn, and she made the $500 a month extra. And that's when I said, okay, I've done it. So I'm capable of doing that. So now I can do more. So then for her, the next step was to earn another 500. Still don't talk to her. I remember her so clearly. It wasn't about big purpose. Now I've earned 500 for 6 months. Okay, so if I go a bit more, I should be able to do it a bit more. So be really in tune with who you're talking to. So a lot of time, and I'm all about, and I know you're all about purpose, vision, clarity, and intent. Not everybody's thinking that way. And nowadays, most people are not.
Yeah, we have to like bring it back.
You need to bring it back. What is it that would make a difference in your life right now, in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Make it real for them. Make sense to everybody. Make it real, right? Because imagine $500 a month is a lot of money nowadays. It's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So there's people who immediately can go think the bigger. Myself, you've heard my story, but frankly, I knew there was something special, but from a personal standpoint, I didn't think big. I wasn't thinking about saving the world as much as I saw the benefit, which is why I went for that. But from a personal standpoint, I just had the idea, the feel that this could allow me to continue to be a stay-at-home mom, because I was the anchor at home. My husband was traveling 3 weeks a month, every single month, and that continued to happen for so many years, literally most of our life. I am the anchor at home. So for me, it was a way to continue to be a stay-at-home mom. So then I put a number. What does it mean? What do I need to do in order to continue to be a stay-at-home mom? So that's really what it is. I had sometimes a raw diamond ask me, Bernadette, why did you join Nikan? And he thought it was the biggest. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. It's just simple.
Yeah.
Nothing more than that.
Yeah.
And when I saw them, then I continued and more helped them and became, and the business grew and I continued.
Yeah.
So make it real. That help everybody?
Yeah, a lot.
I've like naturally been feeling that for myself. Actually, the first thing I did when I got back from traveling was sit down, and I was like, why do I want this? It's like, why do I want this business? I was like, why do I want to work with Nikan? Why do I want to pursue the network marketing model? Like, why is this relevant within the big picture of my life? And for me, it was like, yes, Sovereign Life Team, like I'm committed to the big picture. I'm committed to the purpose of impact. Like that is all tried and true. But realistically, there are many ways in which that could happen too. Why I'm choosing this model, I was like, because I want to generate an income that's independent of my time. And because I use these products every day and they're great. Like it was very simple for me. It was very black and white. It's like, why am I choosing to invest my energy into this right now? Because I have the capacity to work from anywhere in the world. I can work online, and it's quite simple, and I want to improve my finances, and this is something that can amplify every other experience and way in which I make money in this life.
The thing is, it's about first knowing why for you personally. You need to be clear for you personally, what is it that you want to get out?
Yeah.
And I mean is your personal vision, your personal goal, right? Because as a team, that's different. The team goals is different, okay? That's different. You need to know clearly, each and every one of you, what is it that you want to get out of this in the long run? In the long run, because it's the long run that's going to if you don't know that, and if you don't connect emotionally to that, you're going to find always the reason why you could do something else, or you're going to get distracted by another opportunity, or you're going to give up when things don't go well. You've got to connect to it with your heart. You've got to connect to this emotionally, really deep, right? Because it's only then that you're going to find that power to go against people who tell you you're crazy, to tell people, say, I don't believe in anything that you're telling me, right? That's the only way you're going to find that power. That's the thing. But the other thing also is to understand that if you truly want that freedom, or what I call the peace of mind, to do what you want and all that, is understanding this is going to require an investment of your time, your focus, your mind. And the key thing is, are you ready to go for it, right? The big profit, if you want, the big payback happens after we do the other things. It's return on investment. I'm sure you understand this. We need to invest time before we get that time back. Before you get that time freedom, You need to put in the time. Before you really need to get the money big time, you need to put the money in by investing in the product, by going to by going into the event, by all of this. We need to put it out. It's not just about being an entrepreneur. It's about running a business. And I will say is, if you want a business that's going to create peace of mind, and to me, peace of mind is the financial that you need that equates to your peace of mind, or whatever that is, because everybody has different expectation, is no, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
It's going to take time, right? It's going to take years. But to get to there, you've got to commit to a time every week, starting now. One thing that I did when I started, having to run a household with 3 kids, right, Moya? You're busy working, you have a job, and you have 2 kids. So I just can imagine, the struggle. But one thing that I knew is I had to commit to time. And that's one thing that I struggled at the beginning. And because I tried to build Nikan whenever I could. Oh boy, did I make a mistake? So if any of you is saying to yourself, I'm going to build it when I can, you're sabotaging yourself. It's not when you can. You've got to commit a minimum of time. And myself, what I did is I committed to 8 hours a week because I knew that's all I could. I had my youngest one at home with me all the time. I had the 2 kids that I was taking to different schools and this and that. I just had no time.
Yeah.
So I decided 8 hours. That's all I can. But I committed to those 8 hours. I did something that I was fortunate enough to be able to do that today some mothers could not do, depending on the financial situation. I hired a babysitter. But I struggled with that because I said, oh my gosh, I'm not earning any money and I'm paying a babysitter. Money is going out. Nothing is coming in. Right? And bless my husband, he said, stop thinking about spending money, you're investing money. As much as he was against it, he was extremely supportive of what I wanted to do because he knew that was important for me. So, I was very fortunate that way, right? So I shifted. I'm not spending money on product. I am not spending money on my sitter. I am not spending money to go to an event. I'm investing money in the product. The return is better health. I'm investing money into a sitter. The return will be time. I'm investing money into attending training or event. The return is building team. I always thought about what is it the return that's going to happen. And because when we think about return or investment, we're thinking longer term. And we know it's coming back. When we use the word spend, it's lost. Who wants to lose money? Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? When we think about investment, we're thinking something is going to come back.
Yeah.
So it shifts what we say and what we do. Makes sense to all of you? Right? So I invested 8 hours and it was 2 hours. I remember clearly 2 hours on Tuesday morning, 2 hours on Thursday night, and 3 hours on Friday morning. 2, 4, 5. So there's 3 hours on Thursday night because I was going to an event all the time. So 2, 3, 3. And when the sitter came in and rang the bell, I was at the door because I knew that he was staying at home. My kids would find me. And I knew all the coffee shop in the neighborhood because the coffee shops became my office. That's where I met people. That's where I did my call and so on. But I didn't I prepared though. When I was going on, I knew who I was going to call. So when I was at the coffee shop, I wasn't just wondering okay, who am I going? I was already prepared. I knew. So I treated it as a business. A lot of time people think I'm going to do this part-time, right? You hear that, I'm sure. The problem is when we say that, our mind is part-time. We behave as a part-timer. Now, I don't know, part-timers are not really invested. So one thing that I always taught people and everybody on my team, I don't care how much time you put in, But you during those hours, you're not part-time. You're a full-time Nikken business owner. I don't care if it's 4 hours. I don't care if it's 8. I don't care whatever time. During those hours, you are treating it as if it was your main income, because then you're going to adapt a completely different behavior. So for you, whatever time you have, decide how many hours will I commit, no matter what, every single week, and you block it on your calendar. You block it, because as human being, it's a lot easier when we have a routine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we say, I'll do it when I can, well, there's always something else coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something that's been coming up for me recently. That's like, I think the hardest part of entrepreneurship period is like actually creating structure in the chaos.
It's discipline.
It's the because it's because you are creating and then you're also doing, and it's like you need to be able to manage both. And I feel like recently
And
I've been needing the structure. Like I need to have like a schedule that I'm dedicating this time to this thing.
you need to. I guarantee you, that's one of the best things you can do for yourself. Okay, so stop. If anybody tells you I'm a part-timer, so I'll do it whenever, I say, oh, okay, just tell them. Okay, you're sabotaging yourself without knowing that's what you're doing. You're not creating what I will call the environment for success. You need some structure. Everybody needs some structure. Everybody needs some routine, right? It's easier. And then commit to the action. Know what are the actions that are building your business. Don't be busy. Know what are the actions you need to focus on to build your business. Because too often people are busy.
Yeah. I feel that as well.
Right? And here's the bottom line. In this business, what do you believe are the actions that are building, that are building your business? What are the actions?
Are you asking?
I'm asking.
Talking to people.
Relationship
about
in.
it. Yeah, building relationships, like putting yourself out there,
Sharing the product.
sharing the products,
Sharing the
sharing
product.
business,
Yeah.
following up.
I think something that I do, I don't know if you guys resonate with this, but like I personally really resonate with the business building side of things rather than the product side of things. And I'm not as eager to hop on an opportunity to talk about the products as I would be an opportunity to talk about the business. I also think part of it though has to do with the reservation that I have around this idea that like I grew up around the products. I've never experienced this holy crap transformational experience moment in time where I'm like, this is like insane.
Great. So let me address that. Do you believe in prevention?
Yes. And I talk about that actively. I do. I feel like, again, for me, it's more like, I don't know if this is limiting myself so much as it is like focusing my efforts. I almost like would want to center my entire business around literally business building and the opportunity to generate an income. Whereas I see the products as a byproduct of that. Like
Except any business is built on a service or product we provide.
You're right.
You can't separate the two, Elena.
Yeah.
You know, you can't separate the two because any business, I don't care any business. If there isn't a service or a product, there is no business.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I see the service as the system of business building. You're either selling the system or you're selling the product. Except
that there is no business in the long run without having with the longevity of the business is based on how people are going to be
engaging with the product. Let me clarify.
You need to have
entry
customers.
point, the entry point that I focus on is the business side of things.
And that's great.
Because naturally, as you flow through the information, I know you're going to get exposure to the products. There's no way of getting around it. But I also see the value, like sometimes in the organic conversation where someone has a need and you offer them a solution by way of product, that might open up their eyes to something far more.
And that's a great point. So here's the thing, because as individual, we have just the natural, either we tend to go more towards the product, and one is not better than the other. Right? We may just have more of an entry point through the products versus an entry point through business. And I say, this is great. The key thing, I don't care which one you tend to lean in more. You need to bring the other one immediately.
Right, right, because
So
don't
if you
have it without
exactly,
both of them,
but
absolutely.
immediately, that one of the things that I've seen too many people do is they wait too long to bring the second one. So
Mm.
they rely on the product for so long that now they don't even know how to bring in the product,
Yeah.
the business side.
Mhm.
Or they spend so much time talking about the business, it feels like an add-on, which means it diminishes the value of the product. So my advice to you is, no matter which
Yeah.
entry point is, you need to bring it as soon as possible.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Okay. So if, for example, for business is you talk to them and you have somebody say, great. Now, why am I so excited about the product, about the business? Because we have exceptional product.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it has to be.
So
both.
you need to bring it ASAP.
yeah.
And with the products.
With
how
the
do you say-
product, you say, and they love the product. That's great. Now imagine how many people, even right now, can you think of who would benefit from it? And that's why we have an exceptional business attached to it.
Jeez. Yeah.
You see that?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah. What about if you come from the opposite side? Like Elena comes from the side where she likes to talk about the business. I come from the side where I actually like product better because I like part of how I like to promote it is creating videos. I like to be creative. That's the way that that's the only way it keeps me going. So I like to talk about the products.
Okay. So what I was saying is that if you say, people love to talk about the product, and then you get interest, somebody's interested in that, Savannah, then you say now, and they say, yeah, I see the value of the product. I'm excited by the product. Then now your job is to get them excited about the business side of it. So imagine how many people could use what I just showing you, or how many people just like you would just love the product. That's why we have an exceptional opportunity, to really just create financial strength for people and all of that. So you need to link the value of the product to the value of the business,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
I have another question.
Yes.
Do you ever deal with people talking about the price of the products?
Yeah. Tell me more. So give me one, because I'm pretty sure
Like,
where you
people talk about the products being super expensive.
right. Okay. Well, I always say, myself, when people say, well, they're expensive, I say, well, yes, there's a cost to the product. So first of all, don't go against them. Acknowledge. I hear you. I understand. You're right. There's a cost. I don't say they're cheap. I don't say they're expensive. I say, you're right. There's a cost to the product. Myself, one thing that I've always said, I said, but I could go to a store and buy something that is worth $5, but if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, it's expensive.
This is more expensive than home.
Right? So I said it's whether or not the product delivers. Really, that's what it is. And another thing you would say, well, there's cost and then there's value,
Right.
which is different.
That's you.
There's cost and there's value.
Yeah. And like it's an investment.
Yeah.
Like, you're
It's an
investing
investment.
in your health.
And the other thing is, then you could rely on a story then. Myself, I would say, I'm sorry, yes, you're right, but for my daughter, for example, this is what this is how much I bought. My daughter, it needed the sleep system and that. It wasn't, a substantial, product purchase. I said, but it gave it was for my daughter. So what kind of price do you put to that? So make them realize is, okay, and say is, you've had, this issue with your arm for so long, is what if that would help you? How valuable is that to you? Put them back on you. So don't fight what they're saying, acknowledge. Always when somebody gives you an objection, acknowledge, and then help them see it from a different angle.
Yeah.
And by the way, an objection a lot of time is actually great. Welcome the objection, because it means they're lacking information. So don't see that as somebody just being against you. Just see that as they don't know enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Ask them, okay, why does it feel that way? Ask them. Then you have, okay, always see an objection as a way for you to understand better where they're coming from.
Right.
I love it.
Do if I think I kind of know the answer to this, but like, what would you do if the person is now like arguing that with, okay, so for instance, we have the I forgot the name of it, but the cream that we have, that ointment.
PM cream?
Yeah. So what if someone argues that like, oh well, do you know how many of the like what the icy hots or whatever I could get for that same price? You know, so what if they're like in that sense? I know for me, I would just say like kind of just ignore it at that point. Like I don't bother trying to go back and forth with people. But I do get a lot of that resistance, mainly from like family stuff. But even like when I talk about the water, the countertop system, the waterfall, my sister would always argue, she's like, oh well, the Brita does this, whatever. And even like I'll tell her the facts of whatever, she doesn't really care. But it's like on the price versus the value of it. So how do you like kind of combat them if they're only focused on like the investment?
Well, you know, that's a good question. I would say, first of all, is as our job as Nikken consultant, Nikken leader, is to find people or to find and to attract people who believe what we believe.
Yeah.
Think of it of that way. Our role is not to convince everybody on the planet.
Yeah.
Because if you try to do that, my gosh, it's going to be a painful journey for you. Okay, so don't go there, right? You know, it's really to attract and find the people who believe what we believe. And what do I mean by that? People who believe that health is essential. And not only is it essential, but they are wanting to take care of themselves. They put that as a priority. It's not a luxury. It's not something that they want. It's something that they believe in. So prevention, to me, I said, it's the best prevention program that we have. That's one way that I talk about it, right? If in terms of the product, because, you know, we all know people who are ready to spend thousands of dollars on a TV, on a phone, or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? And as soon as you talk to them about a water filter that costs $200, say, "Oh my gosh, that's expensive." Well, what does it tell you? It tells you about their value. Where do they put them up? How do they use their money? That gives you a sense of what is important to them.
Right.
Okay, so that's why you want to learn to filter and identify better who you're looking for. Don't try to convince everybody.
Thank you.
So,
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was. I
say
have
that-
another question though.
yes, Savannah.
How would you mentor someone who, let's say you're like someone in your downline comes to you and presents you with that issue where you know, they're talking to somebody and they're saying how like, you know, everyone they talk to says it's expensive. What would your advice to that person be? To the person you're mentoring?
Well, first of all, one thing that I will say, because I know it's the truth, if you tend the object, hold on. Me too. If you tend, as a person, if you tend to get an objection over and over, you've got to look into the mirror, because that means you have that objection yourself. If you tend to get the objection is it's expensive, it's because sometime, somewhere inside you still believe it's expensive. If you have somebody who tells, I don't do sales, I'm not sales, it's because you're still thinking that you're doing sales. If you tend to get a lot of objections that are related to network marketing, it's because somehow, somewhere, you still are not feeling quite sure about network marketing.
Right.
Whatever objection you're getting means you have it. So you need to address it first for yourself. Only then that's going to shift the energy between you and the people.
Love that.
Very true.
All right.
Such a great way.
So let's recap here. We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go around here and I'm going to ask you, because here's the thing, like anything is, you've taken note of that. Now, what are you going to do with what you've heard tonight?
That's
right?
what I've been writing down. I've been writing my action plan. while
What are
you've
you
been
going to do?
speaking.
And think of it, because there's things that you can do about yourself. It's how you're working. It's what you're going to say. There's so many things that you could do, right? So I'm going to just go around the room here. So Sam, let's start with you.
I definitely, like I said, I'm gonna like get super clear on my why, and also I want to set like a financial goal. Like I want to be like, I think I want to reach like whatever $400 a month extra, because I am motivated by finances, and I think that'll be a helpful way for me to stay motivated and stay grounded as well as
Mhm.
having that higher why. I'm also gonna, put into place like an actual time that I'm setting aside, because I do work, but I, like you said, like I'm gonna commit full time to it when I am setting that time for it. So I'm gonna carve out that time in my schedule and create that schedule for myself. And I already think that that's just gonna be a huge shift that's gonna contribute to my
Excellent.
my weekend
Okay.
business.
Great. Sophia?
I think in this call, like something that's really stood out to me is the importance of building relationships and just like putting yourself out there more, where you're in places where you can meet people, especially like-minded people. So I really want to find some sort of like
Networking.
kind of communities where I
Yeah.
can just be around more like entrepreneurial women,
Yeah.
because I think I am lacking that.
Right.
Yeah. I know.
Now,
just
and
opportunity to meet
I
different people.
so this is
Yeah.
great. I would suggest even though you may want to work or focusing on women, don't just connect with women.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
There's a lot of guys who know a lot of women, okay? And they may not be the one who's going to come on board, but who knows? You never know.
Right.
But they may say, oh, I know somebody, my
Mhm.
friend, so and so. So go beyond just the women,
Okay.
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I mean, for me, my way of like reaching out to people or like being myself known, I'm really comfortable using social media.
Mhm.
Like I love
Right.
using social media to build relationships on there and invite people into my opportunity. And it's been a really, like, it works. It works. Like it's a new way of picking up the phone and calling someone.
Yeah.
And it allows you to kind of also attract new eyes
Mhm.
and stuff too. So I think I just need to commit to like a regular posting schedule, like posting like 3 times a week about my business. And so then I'm just constantly like inviting people in and then following up with them within 48 hours when they do express interest.
Yeah.
We actually recently like created an apply with me page for
Mhm.
someone to like apply to work with us. So I think it just adds like a little bit of more formality around it.
Yeah.
When we are inviting someone into the business, like there's kind of one step that they have to take in our
Mhm.
direction.
We get to know them better that
Mhm.
way as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
But now I just have to like
Do it.
let it be known that that is an option.
Yeah.
You know, because I
Exactly.
haven't really done that for 6 months. I pretty much like stopped recruiting altogether.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's time to start that activity
Okay.
again.
Okay, good. Elena?
Yeah, I resonate with a lot of that. I think the overall theme that I've been feeling throughout this entire call is like bringing it back down into earth
Yeah.
and like getting very like grounded and practical with my approach with this business. A lot of structures that I've been wanting to put in place. So for instance, carving out, like I wrote down, because the two things that I'm dividing my time between really is my Nikken business and my coaching business. And having that structured time in my day, my schedule being like, we're going to be doing 8 hours a week. So we're going to be doing, let's say, at least an hour a day for Nikken, I know is going to be able to help me in terms of just like actually getting, rather than busy, getting more efficient at how I'm using my time and energy. I agree with what you said in terms of the networking. I want to continue to build relationships and put ourselves out there. I think social media has been a great way of doing that, but I want to meet new people and more frequently, because I want to be having the conversations more regularly so that I can even develop my own confidence in that way. Going back to what Sam said as well, I think after a year of like going through this experience, I want to get much more clear on like why this is relevant for me, so that when I'm speaking to somebody, there's no really like wavering or teeter-tottering. It's like, this is what I'm choosing to do. This is what's available to you. Like, I want to just be very clear on the message that I'm putting out when I'm speaking to individuals. And there was one more thing with social media, I think that you brought up. Oh, so like you said, kind of reintroducing. So I've also have not really been active with recruiting and like really bringing up the business online, because recently I've been focusing a lot of efforts on coaching. And something I wrote down throughout our call was that I almost feel like I need to do a reintroduction with like my community of people that know me, so that I can get very clear on like how I'm using this platform, what's actually available to them. Like, hey, there's an application form if what you're looking for is an opportunity to generate an income. Like, letting people know, getting clarity on what it is that I'm offering, so that people can actually like land where they land and like find me in different ways. And I feel like I've been feeling very called to like remake that introduction and just actually say directly like why I decided to make this decision for myself in my life, and like this is what I plan to be doing.
Okay, great. Moya.
A lot of what everyone else is saying as well too. I'm take it back to what Sam was saying, the getting clear on my why. And I also want to bring that to their story about the woman who just like the single mom who like lost like the divorce and her job, and just said like I need extra 500. Like, focusing on acknowledging where I am in my business and letting that just move me, letting that like drive me, and not trying to shift or form into something else that doesn't really fully resonate with me at the moment. Like, I'm just gonna be clear on where I am today and what my actual goal is, and then just moving from that standpoint until I, can break through that barrier. Also setting a financial goal, because I haven't set that for myself. Like, I kind of just said, I've let that in the air. I didn't want to. I felt kind of restricted setting a goal, because I guess I had a fear of like not obtaining it. And so that was holding me back, and I acknowledge that. So definitely gonna set a financial goal for myself. As well as putting myself out there. Like, I'm not really out there on social media. I haven't, from like getting like kind of shut down from everybody else around me, and just not really having the best, even when I did sign someone up, like not having the best like follow up in terms of like where they're progressing in the business. So allow myself to let go of that and just put myself out there continuously. I might go on Craigslist. But no, yeah, definitely wanted to start putting myself out there more and just showing my face more. I think a lot of it too was like, I was even talking to Elena and Sophia before about like not wanting to have myself out there, because I've struggled with acne and struggled just like not wanting to be seen. And so breaking out of that shell, right? And like like Elena said, reintroducing myself to like who I am and what you can expect from me and where I am currently, and like this being like my authentic self and showing that like, yeah, this is me. So
Great, excellent. Savannah.
I think number one, asking for help, and really just working with someone to clear like the blocks that I'm having, and getting clear on my tone, because I think a lot of the blocks have to do with it not feeling aligned for me, because I've been told what to do rather than it really coming from within. And I am someone who needs to create everything. So when it doesn't come from within me, I don't want to do it. So just finding out like like what my tone is, and the way that, the audience that I want to attract, like you were saying, like everyone has a different audience. And yeah, and asking for help.
Okay. Let me just, as we're closing, I want to add a little bit of things here, just to get you really add to how you take direction, how to really put you in the right direction. Goals. A few of you have mentioned goals in the last 5 minutes. It's important that you have goals, and it's critical that you have goals, and you need really just, there's the big picture, okay, but the big picture is too big. And to get to the big picture, there needs to be stepping goals, okay? And that's why I always look at 90-day goals. If you say, for example, by the end of 2023, yes, 2023, this is where I would like my business to be. This is with the kind of income I would want to generate on a regular basis. So that was good because it's 15 months away. That's long enough for you to think, okay, so then what do I need to do between now and then in order to build that income 15 months from now?
Mm-hmm.
And give you some stepping goals, okay? Because even 15 months is too far out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
can't
need
even-
to work 90 days at a time. That works every single time. And what I'm saying is that it's in Nikken, in any other thing that I do outside of Nikken, the 90-day goals,
Mhm.
right? Because 90 days is short enough that our brain can see it, but it's long enough that we can do it. Another principle of that, when you work goals, know that what you do this month, the result will show up next month.
Mhm.
There's always a delay in what we do. So to create a goal 90 days from now, that means all that I do from now on needs to go towards that. So really just
Yeah.
understand that, okay?
Mhm.
So that's that. Second, and it's to add to what Savannah said, asking for help. If any of you are not asking for help
Yeah.
every week, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And I'm just, and I'm very, I say, people know me is I'm very just straightforward because I want people to succeed, which means I'm gonna share with them what they need and what, right? If you are not asking for help, you're doing it wrong. If you're not leveraging, who are you leveraging in your upline? That is because you need to leverage your upline. They have the story, they have the experience, they have the track record. If you're not leveraging whoever in your upline, you're doing it wrong.
Mhm.
Because people need to know it's real. And how will they know it's real? When they're going to talk to people who have done it, when they can see who they are.
Mhm.
So you need to have that support. So create a support system for you. Make sense?
Yeah.
Ask for help. Don't do it alone. The moment you do it alone, it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
Trust me. And I'm sure you've seen that. The other thing I want to say, be proud of what you've done up to now. You've done some fantastic work. Do you realize that?
Mhm.
Do you recognize it enough? Do you celebrate enough? Because I don't think you necessarily celebrate enough.
No.
You need to celebrate what you've done. You're here, right? You're here. That is to be celebrated. After that time, my gosh. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. But I can tell you, is in the year that how many servers, even some are active, some not active. That's just the way it is. That's the industry. But still, don't diminish the result that you've created.
Mhm.
So, okay, because I've heard that too much. You've got to recognize that you've accomplished some great things here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so the energy you put out needs to reflect that. Smile. You all have a beautiful smile. I want to see those smiles a lot more, right? Just bring that energy out. Show it to people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Show
Love
it to
that.
people. I say, yeah, I mean, but it's not it's like any other business. Some people continue, some don't. It's not just network marketing, any business. Right? So it's just, so recognize that you've done, and how many servers have you built in your team altogether? How many of you?
No.
What do you mean you don't know?
Like total?
Total.
Shelby,
I think we have 6.
6 silvers.
Okay.
Like including me, you.
Including us, 'cause we had to build
Sam,
up.
Moya, where are you at
Zach.
in the ladder?
Zach.
I'm executive.
You're executive. Great. When did you join?
October last year.
Okay. You want to stay there? Okay. It's all in your hand, Moya. It's all in your hand, right? It only takes that decision. The moment you make the decision, you're going to put things in place. You're going to figure it out. And that's where goals are important. Goals are going to fuel your energy. It's going to give you direction. You don't have goals, you're not going to find that energy. What about you, Sam?
Silver.
Okay. How long?
Since like over a year.
Okay. Okay.
What
What is it?
No, it's just funny the way that we're like responding right now to our rank. I'm dying.
Right?
I was like,
all in your
No,
hands.
it's totally funny. And yeah, no,
Right?
absolutely. We need to call it out so that we also
You need to
recognize
say,
the
okay,
room for
let's
growth.
stop just lingering. Whatever you're telling yourself is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, not only it's gone, but you've done it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've done it. So you've done it. That means you know you can do it again, and you can do it better. And you do it better by doing all the things we talked about and more. Which means that's where you need to find that energy and just say, hey, okay, it's up to us. You've got to decide. Either you just keep saying, yeah, you know, we can do it slow, whatever, right? And remember, the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. You want a team that's you want to have people who make things happen.
You gotta make things happen.
You've got to make it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And I will tell, and I will finish on that. One of my mentor said to me, Bernadette, building a business like Nikan, it's like being on a racing track.
Yeah.
You don't slow down. You run at your own pace. And as you're going to run, you're going to pass some people and say, are you ready to run with me? Not yet? Okay, I'll see you next time. And you do the next circle and you keep running the track. And as you do that, some people are going to follow you and others are, they're not ready. That's okay. I'll see you next time. You're not telling them you're abandoning. You're just letting them go. Just say, you're not ready? Totally fine. Who's ready? Then we run together. You don't wait for those who are not ready. You focus on those who are ready. And the question is first, are you ready?
Are we ready?
Girl power, okay? It's the girl.
Oh my gosh, who is
It's the girl power, right?
Kicked in.
I know.
It's the girl power. That's really what it is.
I truly, I don't know why I just felt this, but like, I truly feel like doing some in-homes is going to be like really fun over these next few months because we didn't do that when we got started. I mean, you did, but like none of us have really done
In home,
in-homes.
but don't gain. Who is more business? Elena, you're more business, you're more product, entry, business. Moya, what about you?
Or business.
More business. Savannah, more. Okay. What's good is there's both.
Yeah.
You leverage each other,
Yeah.
right? That's the key thing. So leverage it. But again, use the ABC. I don't know how many ABCs you're doing. If you're not doing ABCs, not just within you, find people who can bring that. I don't know who, but find people who can just talk the bigger picture.
Yeah, for sure.
It's key. You're going to accelerate, and it's going to be a lot more fun, frankly.
Yeah.
And myself, I always say, if it's not fun, I don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's just as simple as that. I've let go of that a long time ago. If it's not fun, I don't do it. But at the same time, it's all about creating results. It cannot be just about fun. It cannot be just about. It's about creating results because results talk to people. And results product, results about making money. Okay, we've gone way more than an hour.
Thank you.
Okay,
so
my
much,
voice is
Bernadette.
gone, so we gotta stop here.
Thank you so much, Bernadette. Thank you.
Welcome.
Bernadette.
Bye, Moya.
Bye, Moya.
Great.